Now at 6, COVID crisis mode.
This is not the beginning of the end. This is not even the end of the beginning.
Hospital beds, equipment, and caregivers in short supply. And it's getting worse.
We're in crisis. Hospitals across the state are running out of beds, as Dr. Thomas has outlined. Our nurses, physicians, respiratory therapists, and other staff are burned out and stretched thin.
This as 5 more Northeast Ohio counties turn purple, and the case count continues to rise, leading health officials to urge all to stay home. COVID cyber attacks, what security analysts say is the next target for hackers and who might be behind it. Protest problems, what the city of Cleveland says about how it handled the civil unrest downtown last spring.
And there's so much that they're unable to do without having high-speed internet.
Broadening broadband, the push to bring internet access to all corners of Cleveland, and how it will be done.
From the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
We begin with breaking news tonight. 5 more go purple. More of Northeast Ohio's counties hit the state's highest COVID advisory level today. And we thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Mitchell.
And I'm Laura Queso. We are in the midst of a crisis. That's the word today from Governor Mike DeWine during a press conference. 7 Northeast Ohio counties are now in purple. We cannot go any higher or we are off the state's chart. Medina, Richland, Stark, Summit, and Portage join Lorain and Lake counties with the highest risk level. And not only that, for the first time since April, we are at more than a 15% positivity rate. Today, doctors and the governor used the word crisis several times.
Our hospitals not only remain in crisis, but the crisis is worsening and getting more serious.
Dr. Andy Thomas of OSU's Wexner Medical Center said, "We are just now heading into the most challenging 3 months of this pandemic. ICU beds are in areas of capacity where we have the biggest strain across the state, especially in rural areas. Another problem, hospitals still have not seen the impact of Thanksgiving on their inpatient admission numbers."
This is not the beginning of the end. This is not even the end of the beginning. We are in a really difficult spot here when hospitals are already at their highest COVID levels and at high capacity across the state. And we're just heading into what the CDC director has described as the most challenging 3 months of this pandemic.
A refrigerator truck is now outside of a hospital in Stark County for the overflow of deaths there. We crossed 5,000 hospitalizations on Monday, with 1,200 patients currently in the ICU. All right, now let's check out the numbers. We're seeing the 5th highest number of cases ever reported since the pandemic started, with 8,921 cases in the last 24 hours. Sadly, 82 more COVID-19 patients passed away in that same time.
The test positivity rate has ticked up once again and now sits at 16.1%. 1 month ago, that number was just over 9%. 396 more patients were admitted to Ohio hospitals in the past 24 hours, with 33 going to the ICU. From vaccine storage being targeted by global hackers to questions about getting a vaccine if you've already had the virus, our senior health correspondent Monica Robbins has 3 things you need to know tonight.
IBM analysts discovered cyber attacks aiming to disrupt the supply chain and storage of COVID-19 vaccines. The cyber attacks were trying to get access to how the vaccine is shipped, stored, kept cold, and delivered, mainly with overseas shipments. IBM's cybersecurity arm noticed the threat, says the attacks are sophisticated enough that they point to a government-sponsored initiative, but they could not identify which country is behind it. Also, since the news broke that the UK approved the Pfizer vaccine for emergency use, Interpol issued a global alert that criminals are advertising, selling, and administering fake vaccines, mostly online. Be aware you may be targeted by such ads while surfing the net. Approved vaccines will only be given by legitimate healthcare professionals. Talk to your doctor's office about your chance to get a vaccine when one becomes available. And should you get the vaccine if you've already had COVID? Well, the short answer is yes. Now, it isn't yet known how the immune systems of COVID-19 survivors respond to a vaccine, especially among long haulers whose symptoms linger weeks and months. But experts say there is likely little risk in getting the shot. This is something you'll want to discuss with your doctor, and there's a chance they may want to test your antibodies first. But we do know natural immunity does seem to fade, and studies show those who only had mild symptoms will likely lose their immunity faster than those who became pretty sick. Some final points about the vaccine. We know it prevents moderate to severe disease, but we don't know if those vaccinated are still contagious to others. That's why even after a vaccine, you're still going to need a mask. And we should have better data about the vaccine once a few million people get both doses by the end of January. Monica Robbins, 3 News.
Some more news about vaccines now. Moderna said today it will begin testing its vaccine on kids between 12 and 17 years old. Half the group will get 2 doses 1 month apart. The other half will get a placebo. Pfizer began testing its COVID vaccine on teens earlier this fall.
A new global surveillance system that tracks the spread of COVID-19 has now been launched. The system was developed by a group of scientists at Northwestern University and the University of Florida and includes data from 195 countries, including the U.S. The dashboard with all the data is now available online and shows where in each state the outbreak is likely to keep increasing and where it could also get much worse. Pressure is building in Washington as Republicans and Democrats try to hammer out a deal on a new COVID relief bill. Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell spoke for the first time in weeks. And top Democratic leaders support using a new $900 billion bipartisan framework to start.
The real answer here is to sit down and talk.
Compromise is within reach.
President Trump today said he'd sign a bill into law if one is brought to him.
Here's what else is happening. After more than 6 months, the city of Cleveland is now admitting mistakes were made handling the downtown riots of last May. Today, Mayor Frank Jackson released a review of how police responded that day. Mark Namick has details and reaction.
Thousands demonstrated peacefully here, a part of a wave of protests across the country sparked by the death of George Floyd, who died in the custody of Minneapolis police 5 days earlier. But by mid-afternoon, some clashed with police outside the Justice Center, and later others began smashing windows and looting along Euclid Avenue, leaving business owners fearing for their safety.
I've never seen anything like it. It looked like a war. It looked like something out of a movie. And where did it come from? It didn't look like that on television. I got into the store, I locked it. Next thing you know, someone was chasing me with like a metal pipe all the way into the bathroom where I met the staff. I was on the phone with 911. I thought they were trying to kill us,
Police appeared unprepared to contain flashpoints of violence in and around the Central Business District, which left more than $6 million in damages. After months of review, Cleveland Police Chief Calvin Williams says the city, which had more than 800 officers on duty that day, could have done better.
One of the mistakes that we made as a division is the staging of assets. Police personnel, not just around the Justice Center and Lakeside itself, but in different places downtown in the event that things became mobile, which they did.
The chief says police did a good job in the face of violent confrontations and didn't retreat from hotspots, though police were not at the corner of Euclid Avenue and East 9th Street during a critical hour of rioting, which was witnessed by 3 News.
As I stated, probably our biggest mistake was not staging assets in other places on the outskirts of the protest area itself. It would have been a lot easier to get those resources to places like 9th Street and the Gateway District and other places downtown.
The city released a 50-page review of the riot this afternoon, which recommends more police training and better internal communications. And Chief Williams says they've already applied what they've learned to the demonstrations surrounding the first presidential debate in late September, which went off without a hitch. As for Colossal Cupcakes, the city is helping it rebuild with grant money, and the owner says they'll be back this winter bigger and better than ever. I'm Mark Namick, 3 News.
Imagine life in 2020, living through a pandemic without access to reliable internet at home. It's a reality many Clevelanders face every single day. Now, Cleveland Clinic and its partners are teaming up to help close the digital divide in the Fairfax neighborhoods. Our Brandon Simmons explains how it works.
The digital divide in Cleveland can be defined using the Fairfax neighborhood as an example. Home to Cleveland Clinic's world-class health campus, while just blocks away, residents can barely get online.
And how can I literally be, a 5-minute walk from the hospital and and have that happen?
It's a form of digital redlining that negatively impacts the lives of people who live here.
We've known for a long time that this was a city with a significant digital divide. I mean, one of the biggest divides in the nation. More than 50,000 households do not have reliable internet access.
Now, Cleveland Clinic is stepping in to help fix the problem, working with Digital C to install antennas on its rooftops that will provide high-speed access to those who live nearby.
It's really done a lot and will continue to do a lot to make sure that those things that we take for granted, for those of us who are connected, that others without that connection are able to take advantage as well.
Residents who sign up for the new service will see increased speeds and likely lower prices, as fees are being subsidized by companies like Lubrizol and TransDigm Group, allowing Clevelanders to work, learn, and get access to healthcare from home.
COVID made it very real. It completely amplified the healthcare disparities.
Residents are already signing up, with the rollout expected to be complete in spring of 21. Those who've been waiting for this say it's about time.
Life is tough enough when it's a fair shake for everybody, and when it isn't, luckily somebody came and did something about it.
This is a major upgrade for residents who live there. Now, workers will be going door to door to tell residents the new service is available. If you live or know someone who lives in that neighborhood, send them to empowercle.org to get connected. Laura?
A major upgrade is right. Brandon, thank you.
Coming up tonight, buy local, support local. A Central Ohio town stepped up to make sure its mom and pop shops did not go under during the pandemic. We'll tell you about the steps they took to stay afloat.
Stop shipping. Why UPS stopped picking up packages from some retailers earlier this week. Also, hi, Betsy.
Hi there, Laura. 38 degrees. It's all the better we could do thanks to all that snow on the ground. The snow actually reflects the sunshine. We don't really get a whole lot of appreciable warming, but that's going to be changing in the next few days. We're going to talk about it straight ahead in your forecast.
What Matters Most is sponsored by Window Nation. Online at windownation.com.
Welcome back. One of the things hardest hit in these times has been small businesses.
They've had to make so many changes to stay afloat. As we travel Ohio's 88 counties in 88 days, today we head to Fairfield County to see how their mom and pop shops are staying open.
Pickerington is about 20 miles east of Columbus. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to grow your business. 2020 has been a difficult year, obviously, for everyone. We think we've done a nice job managing 2020. We were able to pivot our economic development efforts to more of business retention and, quite honestly, business survival.
I am Crystal Allward, and we're at Porter's Coffee House and Bakery in Pickerington, Ohio. COVID happened in March. It totally changed everything. Obviously, we were, like every other business owner in the whole country, just very worried about what the future would hold for us. We wanted to keep pushing on and just, stay open as long as we can. We have a whole staff of employees that we were concerned about. The community needed us just as much as we've needed them. It's been a place where people have told us they are able to come here and keep a sense of normalcy, even though the ordering online and coming through the line and leaving might be different than what they're used to. They've made it work as much as we've tried to make it work. And I feel like without that, we wouldn't have been successful. I think it's really important for small towns and any place to support their local businesses. I mean, the local businesses, we are people from the community. We're people from the local area. We can relate to people in the area. I just think that we have more of a connection to who are coming in to see us.
Stop picking up packages. That's what UPS told its drivers on Cyber Monday, because certain retailers were shipping too many things. UPS has imposed limits on Gap, Nike, and some other large retailers. The pandemic is fueling online shopping and is stretching delivery networks to their limits. A UPS spokesman says the company will pick up packages from customers whose demand exceeds capacity once more space becomes available. Your time is now 6:16. All right, a few days after all that snowfall, went for a nice walk. I kind of learned two things today. One, my dog loves the snow.
Okay.
Great to see. My husband needs a much heavier jacket. We're in Cleveland now.
Yes, that's right. Welcome. A much heavier jacket, a parka or something.
Yes,
perhaps.
exactly.
And it sneaks up on you. Certainly, you're outside, you feel good for a few minutes, but then, whoo.
It's a wind.
That hawk, as they used to say back in St. Louis, Missouri, it hits hard. Betsy, you don't know anything about the hawk. Have you ever heard that expression before?
Never in my life have I heard that.
Ah, it's a St. Louis, Chicago thing.
I am learning something today.
Well, it applies here too with that wind.
I don't know about you, but typically Clevelanders have like 5 layers of coats, right? 5 different levels. We have the easy one, just the windbreaker, and you got the insulated windbreaker, and you got the coat, or excuse me, the jacket, then the coat, then the parka. So it kind of has its whole little system worked out, certainly. And by April, this is going to be a beautiful day by the time we get to April. Temperatures are holding in the mid-30s as we go through the night. Clouds are in play now. They're going to stay with us. And we'll probably see just a little bit of that southwest breeze staying with us, too. That should help to hold the temperatures up a little bit. But we're in the mid and upper 30s right now. And we have seen some snow on the radar, but we haven't seen it on the ground. That is called virga. It evaporates before it hits the ground, so certainly something to note. But really, the cool part of our satellite and radar picture here is the fact that we have clouds coming at us from the north, and we have clouds coming at us from the southwest. Typically, when you start to see that, that's a merger that's going to be taking place. And this merger is going to end up becoming a nor'easter for the East Coast that should be pretty interesting for New England. We are going to be on the backside, and we'll probably get to miss out on all of that. You can kind of see the swirl setting up here down in the Arklatex area. And that whole storm system is going to head up toward New England here over the next 48 hours or so. As it does so, it's going to tap into some of this cool air coming at us from the north. We will have a cooler temperatures for the weekend. We may even have some flurries flying around, but for the most part, we are not anticipating the direct hit. National Design-Mar hour-by-hour forecast keeps the southwest winds with us. Mid-30s by the midnight hour, and we're going to have mostly cloudy skies. We're going to stick with clouds for a good chunk of the night tonight. Tomorrow morning early, the temperatures down around the freezing mark in many locations, but we'll quickly be warming back into the 40s as we get into the afternoon. I think we might get to see a few peaks of sun, but keep in mind, we're probably also going to see increasing clouds later in the day, and we'll bring in a little chance for some snow rain mix. Depending upon how the temperatures work out, it does look like that's a possibility for the evening. Then once we get into Friday night and Saturday, you can kind of see that north wind continuing as that East Coast storm really develops. And this is where we bring in that flurry chance, just some isolated lake effect flurries, not expecting any accumulation out of it. Could be driving as far south as Canton and Dover as well, but certainly the cooler air is what you're probably going to notice more than anything. Ken Ganley Kia forecast has it with 40s tomorrow, but then 30s as we go through the week. And a cool day on Sunday. We'll turn things around, though, as we go through next week. Certainly looking like improving conditions early next week. Russ?
All right, Betsy, thanks a lot. The run game will be on full display this Sunday for both the Browns and Titans. We'll tell you what last year's rushing champ thinks of Nick Chubb. That's next in sports.
Then coming up at 7, helping others, how you can help lift spirits and bring Christmas to families in need. A front row look at one family's personal struggles. That's ahead at 7.
This sports report is sponsored by the people-pleasing people at Serra Auto Park in Akron.
Hi, everybody. The countdown continues to Sunday, 1 o'clock, Nashville, Tennessee. The Browns and Tennessee Titans both come in at 8-3. Big game, the biggest game for the Browns in really a long, long time. So, the Titans at this time last year made a run to the playoffs, okay? And that got them right to the AFC Championship game. That's why the Browns are so excited. It's been so long since they've been in a big game, and here they are in December looking at the possibility of going to the playoffs, and Jarvis Landry is tickled pink.
It has you, itching, literally itching to want more. And, we know that we got to take it one game at a time, and that, not that our position is set in stone, but we still have to go out here and win games and play good football.
If you love running backs, Sunday, this is the game for you. The two best in the game. Derrick Henry, 1,257 rushing yards already this season. He won the rushing title on his last run of the regular season last year. Who did he edge out? Our guy, Nick Chubb. They're the two best in the game. Here is Henry on Nick Chubb.
You know, we all are different, all have different styles of running. And, you know, that's just, you know, who we are. But he's a great back. I respect this game, and you know, he's a force to be reckoned with. The ball's in his hand.
All right, to the Indians right now. Chris Antonetti met with the media today talking about the offseason. Hey, really, it all comes down to one question with the Indians, okay? And the question is to Chris Antonetti, what about Francisco Lindor? When are you trading him?
And I'm not going to get in the business of saying yes, no, maybe on any specific player or concept. I'm happy to talk about our approach to the offseason, but we'll continue to refrain from talking about specific players.
So I guess it comes down to no questions to Chris Antonetti. Now to the Cavs. Training camp continues. Do you realize that the Cavaliers last played a game in early March? And we did the math. That is 268 days ago. Man, that is a layoff and a half. Kevin Love has missed it.
I think it just kind of makes you, and it's not just me, I feel like it's a number of guys like fall in love with the game again and fall in love with the process. So I think just being back out on the floor has just been refreshing. And I think that in itself gives you energy and gives you a lightness.
Well, Russ and Laura, they will certainly be rested when they take to the court in early December for preseason action.
Jimmy, is there a division of Channel 3 Sports that specifically handles math when you do that?
Yes, that's a different group, Russ. That's a think tank group. That's a different group from those of us that make those tough, guaranteed projections.
Gotcha. You know what? Laura Queso comes to town and we're talking Browns playoffs. What do you know?
I guess I'm a...
Wow.
Yeah. Can I say lucky charm? I can't give myself too much credit.
Thank goodness she's here.
All right, Jimmy. Thanks a lot. We will see you later. Jimmy and Laura and more hijinks at 7 o'clock for Front Row.
Looking forward to it. But first, as always, the NBC Nightly News is just minutes away. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Look at that. 3. Love it. Have a good one.